"Good heavens, Mr. Russell, you can't expect me to believe you're really a man of the world if you don't know that every girl has a time in her life when she's positive she's divinely talented for the stage. It's the only universal rule about women that hasn't got an exception. I don't mean we all want to go on the stage, but we all think we'd be wonderful if we did. Even Mildred. Oh, she wouldn't confess it to you. You'd have to know her a great deal better than any man ever can know her to find out." "I see," he said. "Girls are always telling us we can't know them. I wonder if you—" She took up his thought before he expressed it, and again he was fascinated by her quickness, which indeed seemed to him almost telepathic. "Oh, but don't we know one another, though!" she cried. "Such things we have to keep secret, things that go on right before your eyes." "Why don't some of you tell us?" he asked. "We can't tell you." "Too much honor?" "No, not even too much honor among thieves, Mr. Russell. We don't tell you about our tricks against one another because we know it wouldn't make any impression on you. The tricks aren't played against you, and you have a soft side for cats with lovely manners." "What about your tricks against us?" "Oh, those!" Alice laughed. "We think they're rather cute." "Bravo!" he cried, and hammered the ferrule of his stick upon the pavement. "What's your applause for?" "For you. What you said was like running up the black flag to the masthead." "Oh, no. It was just a modest little sign in a pretty flower bed. 'Gentlemen, beware!'" "I see I must," he said, gallantly. "Thanks. But I mean, beware of the whole bloomin' garden." Then, picking up a thread that had almost disappeared, "You needn't think you'll ever find out whether I'm right about Mildred's not being an exception by asking her," she said. "She won't tell you. She's not the sort that ever makes a confession." But Russell had not followed her shift to the former topic. "Mildred's not being an exception?" he said, vaguely. "I don't—" "An exception about thinking she could be a wonderful thing on the stage if she only cared to. If you asked her, I'm pretty sure she'd say, 'What nonsense!' Mildred's the dearest, finest thing anywhere, but you won't find out many things about her by asking her." Russell's expression became more serious, as it did whenever his cousin was made their topic. "You think not?" he said. "You think she's—" "No, but it's not because she isn't sincere, exactly. It's only because she has such a lot to live up to. She has to live up to being a girl on the grand style. To herself, I mean, of course." And without pausing, Alice rippled on. "You ought to have seen me when I had the stage fever. I used to play Juliet all alone in my room." She lifted her arms in graceful entreaty, pleading musically, "Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest thy love prove—" She broke off abruptly with a little flourish, snapping thumb and finger of each outstretched hand, then laughed and said, "Papa used to make such fun of me. Thank heaven I was only 15. I was all over it by the next year." "No wonder you have the fever," Russell observed. "You do it beautifully. Why didn't you finish the line?" "Which one? 'Lest thy love prove likewise variable'? Juliet was saying it to a man, you know. She seems to have been ready to worry about his constancy pretty early in their affair." Her companion was again thoughtful. "Yes," he said, seeming to be rather irksomely impressed with Alice's suggestion. "Yes, it does appear so." Alice glanced at his serious face and yielded to an audacious temptation. "You mustn't take it so hard," she said, flippantly. "It isn't about you. It's only about Romeo and Juliet." "See here!" he exclaimed. "You aren't at your mind-reading again, are you? There are times when it won't do, you know." She leaned toward him a little, as if companionably. They were walking slowly, and this geniality of hers brought her shoulder in light contact with his for a moment. "Do you dislike my mind-reading?" she asked, and across their two just touching shoulders gave him her sudden look of smiling wistfulness. "Do you hate it?" He shook his head. "No, I don't," he said, gravely. "It's quite pleasant. But I think it says, 'Gentlemen, beware.'" She instantly moved away from him, with the lawless and frank laugh of one who is delighted to be caught in a piece of hypocrisy. "How lovely!" she cried. Then she pointed ahead. "Our walk is nearly over. We're coming to this foolish little house where I live. It's a queer little place, but my father's so attached to it, the family have about given up hope of getting him to build a real house farther out. He doesn't mind our being extravagant about anything else, but he won't let us alter one single thing about his precious little old house. Well—" She halted and gave him her hand. "Adieu." "I couldn't—" he began, hesitated, then asked, "I couldn't come in with you for a little while?" "Not now," she said, quickly. "You can come—" She paused. "When?" "Almost any time." She turned and walked slowly up the path, but he waited. "You can come in the evening if you like," she called back to him over her shoulder. "Soon?" "As soon as you like." She waved her hand, then ran indoors and watched him from a window as he went up the street. He walked rapidly, a fine, easy figure, swinging his stick in a way that suggested exhilaration. Alice, staring after him through the irregular apertures of a lace curtain, showed no similar buoyancy. Upon the instant she closed the door, all sparkle left her. She had become at once the simple and sometimes troubled girl her family knew. "What's going on out there?" her mother asked, approaching from the dining room. "Oh, nothing," Alice said, indifferently, as she turned away. "That Mr. Russell met me downtown and walked up with me." "Mr. Russell? Oh, the one that's engaged to Mildred?" "Well, I don't know for certain. He didn't seem so much like an engaged man to me." And she added, in the tone of thoughtful preoccupation, "Anyhow, not so terribly." Then she ran upstairs, gave her father his tobacco, filled his pipe for him, and petted him as he lighted it. End of Chapter 10.